Good morning. It is Monday, September 18th, 2017. This is your Island Blader speaking. Here's what's happening. Looking out there, it's a dreary Monday morning here in the South Jersey area. Fittingly as a Jet fan, this feels about right to happen for a Monday morning. Rainy days and Mondays, the Carpenter fans. But anyway. So having this rainy, cloudy Monday morning is pretty darn fitting as for this Jet fan. I mean, the score yesterday was as anticipated. We got blown out. It was ugly. Score was merciful. 45-20 is pretty merciful. The 20 was in garbage time. But as a Jet fan yesterday, it was a tease. Because the reason why I say it was a tease because, when Oakland jumped out to a 14-0 lead on touchdowns, both by Michael Crabtree, him and Derek Carr had their way yesterday with the Jets. 3 touchdowns. For the most part, the Jets got back into this game. They got within 14-10 in this game. After Josh McCown did not have a bad game yesterday, all things considered. At Jermaine Kearse gets that big touchdown, 35-yard beautiful pass over the rated defender, right for Jermaine Kearse to haul it in the right corner. That was pretty. 14-7. We're like, all right, and the Jets started to have their way. Mo Wilkerson, forced a 3 and out. I can't believe it. Forced a 3 and out. The Jets, went down the, and actually, believe it or not, late in the first half, the Jets are still down 14-7. And they're moving. McCown's moving them down the field. There's just one little problem. So they're moving. They're in plus territory. They're knocking on the door. We're like, oh my goodness, and then instead of getting it done, no. Instead of running the ball, in which Matt Forte, who we killed last week, actually had an okay game. Instead of giving it off to him and going for the run, they decided to go to Will Tye for a check down. He didn't see the ball coming, and even if he caught the pass, he would have been short anyway. He would have been well short. It would have been no gain, and the Jets would have had to kick the field goal anyway. So that's what happened. So they settle for the field goal, 14-10. Oakland gets forced on a 3 and out. So you're thinking, okay, you know what? You're like, you're feeling good. You're like, oh my goodness. It's like the Jets, they might do something here before halftime. Now, if they can it's like, don't give the Raiders back the ball. Even if they don't get anything out of this, you know what? You feel good. Okay? If we could score, great, because you get within 14-13, or you take the lead and you get the ball to start the second half. Instead, let's see. Instead of that, I forgot what the kid's name is, decides to, he calls for a fair catch, the Oakland Raider, what's his name, Holton, is bearing down on the kid, and, kid muffs the punt, kid Holton on Oakland grabs it, Raiders take over on the 5-yard line, three plays later, by beast mode himself, touchdown, third time's a charm, because that's all they tried to do. Hand it off to Marshawn Lynch, who was making his homecoming in his hometown to Oakland. So 21-10 at halftime. Any momentum that the Jets had was gone. Never to be seen again. Never. So after that, the second half comes. Jets have the ball. They use up half the quarter. Using up half the quarter, and mind you, they're looking at McCown's on 3rd and 18. Josh McCown actually got a 22-yard run and gain. Running the ground. Like, oh my goodness. All that, only to kick a field goal, 21-13. After that, the Raiders went on the show and scored the next 21 points. You had Cordell Patterson go, the big guy that used to play in Minnesota. He does run plays, big and fast, took a run play, 43 yards, gone. Because Muhammad Wilkerson mailed it in and the rest of the D-line did. The linebackers don't know where the heck they're going. And then Justin Burris missed a tackle, among other things, how we got beaten by Crabtree on that second touchdown of the game where Crabtree was just like, Burzo, where's the ball? You know, same thing. Missed the tackle. Patterson's gone. Not much later after that, we go to the fourth quarter. The Jets give up another long touchdown. I forgot who it was. He's the backup to Lynch. You know, 35-13. Not long after that, McCown gets strip sacked. Gets strip sacked to the ball, and Oakland promptly comes down the field, gets a touchdown. It was Crabtree again. 42-13. And then on the sideline, well, actually, this is actually before that last touchdown. You see Marshawn Lynch dancing on the sideline to the music. Some nonsense about it's a Bay Area thing. Well, you know what? Whatever it is, he had every right to do it. Even though it could irk us Jet fans, it can irk the Jet players. You know what? Can you blame them? I mean, you can't blame them. I mean, and you can't blame him. I mean, he was dancing on the sideline having a good time, man. Even Jack Del Rio, after the game, admitted that he loved it. You know? So, anyway. And speaking of the coach, okay, the brilliant head coach, you know, there was a penalty that the Raiders took in the first half. Bruce Irvin violently threw down Matt Forte, and they called Irvin for excessive, unnecessary roughness because he excessively threw Forte down 15 yards. Even I questioned, saying, was that really a penalty? And then you see Del Rio going nuts on the sideline, you know, just wondering, like, you know, like, come on now. Like, and you know what? If it were Todd Bowles, and there's one play where he probably should have went nuts. I'll get into that in a sec. You know, Del Rio went crazy screaming at the officials. I mean, I have to admit, it wasn't a good call. I will admit it. You take it for what it's worth. The call actually led to the touchdown, actually. To the first touchdown there to Curse, believe it or not. But yeah, like, you know what? That's the fire. In the second half, Buster Screen, who was beaten on the Raiders' first touchdown by Crabtree, no surprise. No, he got flagged for a helmet-to-helmet hit, defenseless receiver. I mean, first of all, the two collided helmets, yes, but the guy wasn't. First of all, the guy was knocked down. I mean, he stayed up and then only get knocked again. They called a 15-yard penalty on screen. Like, you're like, are you kidding me? Like that. Every Jet fan around was like, what kind of crap call was this? However, the brilliant head coach stood there, all stoic, probably just like that. Don't say nothing to the official, and life goes on. That's the brilliant head coach for you. The Jets can be in the rebuilding mode all they want, but this coach is probably not going to be in the plans of it. He should be gone. I mean, I don't see him lasting the year. I don't. You know, I just, at some point, he's going to be canned. At some point. And I don't think many Jet fans will be shedding tears about that. You know? If Rex were still the coach, he would have went nuts after that call on Buster Screen. You know? But yeah, that was brilliant call. Oakland kept going. It was horrible. You know. But anyway, this game. Now the Jets next week, you know, could finally come home for some home cooking. Get to play in front of their fans, or maybe lack thereof. Because this upcoming week is their home opener against the hated Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have a decent bandwagon fan base. You know, considering, you know, hey, whenever the Jets go to Miami, you can hear the Jet fans. Vice versa, it happens too. Okay? This has gone on since the Marino days. Okay? There are many fans that want the Jets to perfectly suck, so they'll keep rooting for the opponent. Okay? Sunday's probably going to be filled with like a lot of people rooting for the Dolphins. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I want this team to win. I want this team to compete. Okay? You want to play for the draft. You want to do this. Knowing the Jets, they're going to mess it up anyway. This is the Jets we're talking about, okay? They mess up the draft how many times? How many times over the years have they passed on good quality draft picks? And unlike the Jets, these good quality draft picks, right? They've actually gone on to be pretty darn successful. The quarterback we faced yesterday was one of them. They passed on Derek Carr, apparently. What happened? They passed on Odell Beckham Jr. What happened? You know? All this talent, over the years, all this talent that they've gone through, that they've passed on. You know? Those people they passed on achieve. Because teams take the time to develop. Unlike the Jets. You know? At the same time, we're an impatient fan base. There are a lot that want them to purposely suck the rest of this year. I'm not like that. I want winning teams. I'm like many other. I am sick and tired of losing. But I'm not going to toss. I don't want to purposely see this team toss a year away. You know, for those of you that want season tickets to want them to lose, what kind of, like, come on, man. You know, let's suck for Sam, right? Like, come, or Josh Rosen, whomever. Okay? I understand the quarterbacks we have right now are not, none of them are the answer. Okay? None of them are. I mean, Bryce Petty apparently was not ready, even in garbage time with the game out of reach. Couldn't even put him in for a few snaps. According to the brilliant head coach, Bryce wasn't ready. So let's play McCown the rest of the way, right? You know, this was despicable. You know, after the muff punt, that it just turned everything around. The Oakland Raiders did whatever they wanted to do. You know, they achieved. You know, the Jets sucked. You know, so they did what they had to do. You know, the Jets were outclassed yesterday. They were overmatched. The Raiders, you know, they waited a while, but you know what though, you know, I remember back in the early 2000s where the Jets would always go out to Oakland and lose to them. You know, so I mean, they're starting. You know, the Raiders are, you know, probably their best team since the early 2000s. Well, last year, but I mean, they got themselves a quarterback in Derek Carr. You know, so. You know, they outhandled us yesterday, the Raiders, and they did what they had to do. More classy, more talented. You know, Michael Crabtree had his way. The only positive, what they do, contain Marshawn Lynch. You can contain beast mode. You can't contain the dancing he did on the sideline. You could contain him 45 yards. That's all he had. But you still gave up 180 yards on the ground. Yeah, after the 190 you gave up last week in Buffalo. So, you know, for a team that prides itself on the run defense, they stink. You know, they're out of shape. They look awful. Every last one of them. Anyway, that being said, I'm going to cut it to here. Someone's carking up next to me, so I got to go. All right, that being said, this is your Island Blader speaking. Deuces for now.